Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for the podcaster who hopes I could, take a little bit of the seriousness out of bedtime. Be there. Your boyfriend is here, or your potential boyfriend, or your boar bud, or, whatever it is before we're boyfriends. I'd like to earn your boyfriendship if you're new. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. But it's my job to do that, and I'm glad you're here. What am I talking about? What am I rambling about? Well, that's what I do. I ramble as your boyfriend or your potential boyfriend. One day, boar buds, if you'll have me. The best thing about boar friendship with me is there's nothing on your end. You could pause it at any time. You say, Scoots, time to pause our boar friendship while I sleep, or that's cool. Because what time it is? Anytime. It's time for Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. And if you're a regular listener, these are the ways we keep the show free for everybody. So if you could sit up in bed for the beginning of the show, or when you get up tomorrow and your hand hits the fridge, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Hey, it's Scoots here. I was just wondering if you're a regular listener, if you could listen to this. Like if you listen to 4 or more episodes a month, like once a week. I don't know if you are a patron, you were a patron, or you're not, but we're doing this time capsule project. The cutoff date for that is going to be October 31st. Whether you're a current patron or you were a patron in the past, you'll get to opt into that. And there's other ways to opt in if you felt like you supported the show in another way. I don't know. It's just a fun thing to celebrate all the people that have kept the show free for the past 6 years. But I don't know if that's like, say, well, it's pretty cool being in this time capsule, like on a piece of archived paper. That's cool. But is it good enough reason to support a free podcast? Probably not. And then, I've been saying this. It's like, okay, $5 a month if you support the show, you get ad-free episodes. You get a couple story-only episodes every week in your own private podcast feed. At $10 a month, you get more story-only episodes. You get some archived shows. You get all intro episodes twice a month. But again, that's a perk. You say, well, okay, $10 a month. Yeah, that's like what it costs for me to eat out lunch once a month. But if you have a reason and you've just kind of been like, oh, I don't know, like think about becoming a patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. At the time of recording, over 180 patrons gave me their reason why they became patrons. Kyle said simply, well, the messages worked. This is an amazing product I can't live without. And then Joanna said, I did it because I really wanted those extra episodes. I had the financial ability to do so. And it's something that helped me, but also that the coffee analogy did work. So if any of that resonates with you, you listen to the podcast on a regular basis, you have the means, or you say, well, I'm going to give up this and spend my $5 or $10 a month on Sleep With Me or 20, whatever. Then become a patron. Then you'll also get the perks. If you do it by October 31st, you'll get in on this time capsule thing. You'll be a part of something. Lots of people benefit from it. Write it down, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. You can sign up now or you can do it tomorrow morning. And it'll be a total act of rebellion paying for a free podcast, so it'll be there on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Mystery Bart, a lot of people help out in this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astoundor on the website. I am the Mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Veil Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you'll find me. Huge way to help the show is just share it right out of your podcast app and say, hey, I'm listening to this episode of Sleep With Me, or this is what I liked about it, or this is how I fall asleep. or to show someone in your life that doesn't listen to podcasts, hey, here's how to subscribe to Sleep With Me, or this other podcast you might like. Maybe it's Veronica Mars Investigations. Maybe you got a Veronica Mars and check out the new show by Helen and Jenny. But anyway, that's just an idea. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing and turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, kind of physical sensations, so things on your mind maybe, things you're feeling, things physically that are coming up for you, or it could be something else, location, changes in schedule, travel, moving, whatever it is. I'm here to help you. I don't want to point out too many things, but I want you to know it's normal not being able to fall asleep, and that there's a lot of other people listening that, I guess, see, this is where I'm like, I don't want to be too specific, but I want you to know you're not alone. I guess that's my main message. I kind of mishandled it there. But that's what I do is mind racing trouble. Did I say that part? Trouble getting sleep? What I'm going to try to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. The thoughts, the feelings, physical sensations. So I got this safe place here, set aside, plenty of space, room for you. Here's the thing. Now, this is not patented yet because it's all imaginary. Or it's a mood, I don't know when people say it's a mood. I think this is what I'm going for. Is this is the only safe place that has it's a self place. It's glad to see you, and I don't know. It exudes that. I'm working on the science behind that, and I say, well, how do you infuse glad to see you into a safe place? And once again, they said, sir, this is a large halogen particle collider or something. How'd you even get back here? And what is it? And I said, well, this is a memory foam. I'm trying to get I said, I picked up some particle. Well, they're actually just smiley face erasers. And I'd like to run these through the particle collider and collide them with this memory foam and see if I can I'm working on this. Let me tell you about this. Scientists grab a seat. Oh, no, we're technicians, sir. And also we work here, monitoring who's coming in and out. And you're not on any lists, and you have no clearance. Oh, great. Well, I'm so glad you want to hear what I have to say. So my idea is gather around. I see more people coming in. Come on in. Could I just tell you this might be my favorite particle collider? Is it a halogen or halogen? Anyway, this is my large or small. This is the best particle collider. Oh, accelerator. Accelerator collider. You do it all here. Holy cow. This is beautiful. It's even better than the one on Into the Spider-Verse. And I don't even know what that one was either. That was fictional, though. This one is amazing. My, what you've done with this space. Anyway, what I was saying is I'm trying to create a safe place infused with a welcoming energy. I guess that's what I really meant. Where when you go in, you feel like there's like the essence of smiley erasers smiling at you, but like a real human smile. Oh, what am I talking about? You're right. I'm at the beginning of the intro of my podcast. Might as well pitch all of you. Do you think I could sit in one of those carts, with the steering wheel, and make me feel more official before I realize I won't be, don't worry. This isn't my first particle collider I've snuck into. I'm surprised you don't have my picture on the doorway, though I did wear this Marco face, whatever that thing's called. I don't know. I think it was Groucho Marx. I just called him Marco by accident. Silly me. But I was just about to tell the listeners of the podcast, I'm trying to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. And what I'm going to do, or on the show, what I do, and what I'll do in this collider situation here is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, what else? Superfluous tangents, repetitive, gummy brain. I have a gummy. Does this collider do anything for gummy brains? Oh, it would. Well, I wouldn't mind having gummy brains. It would be probably an improvement in my situation. Thanks. Thanks. You're an engineer, right? Got it. Where was I? I was lost. So I'm going to send I'm here to keep you company as you fall asleep. I guess that's my main message. And if you're new, let me tell you a couple other things about the show. Maybe I don't know anybody here who listen to the Oh, a couple of you do. Great. That's why you're all giggling. Oh, you just have the giggles? Well, if you listen to the podcast, you'll have the mildest case of giggles. Your giggles will be so mild, you won't even giggle. You'll say, it was like I almost giggled. When I listen to Sleep With Me, I almost giggle. So, okay, if you're new, here's a couple of things about the show to know. Don't take me seriously. This is a bunch of nonsense. You're right. Whatever part of your brain was saying that, or you, whichever representative you're saying, this is nonsense. Yeah, I'll be finished. But it is a little bit goofy. And the best method, if you're new, is to kind of listen to it, half listen, quarter listen. Give me an eighth of your listening, and then drop it down to a 16th and then a 32nd. Or just let me drift in one ear and out the other. Like the sound of my voice droning across this great collider. You know what? Where does a collider go when you shut it down? Does it go to the great collider in the sky? Anyone here at night get down and talk to the great collider in the sky? Because, I mean, there was a big bang, right? Something had to start it. You're taking notes. You're right. You're on to something. I may be on to something. Okay, so when I was a kid, I thought they were just bowling up there. I didn't realize they were colliding particles. They're not. Okay, so if you're new, don't take me seriously. That's one thing. But if you're skeptical, here's the thing. I'm here to keep you company and to take your mind off stuff. So kind of see how it goes. Most regular listeners say it takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to the show. Structurally, the way the podcast works is it starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep the podcast free for everybody instead of behind, like as part of a paid app or something like that. So that's cool. And thanks everybody that helps with that. Then there's an intro. The intros are around, that's what we're in now. Usually they're about 12 to 18 minutes or so, where I kind of start to explain what the podcast is in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Then I go off topic. Sometimes I go as far afield as the greatest collider and accelerator. Oh, you don't do any colliding here. Well, I have trouble believing that. Are you sure you're not just quibbling over verbiage? Yes. I know I may be wrong. I may be right. What? Now you sir, you distracted me. You just explained me right out of an intro. Oh, so the intro. Oh, but that's what it was explaining. Is the intro is kind of a long, winding explanation of the podcast. But it's not like a false start. It's a long, drawn-out start that some listeners, that helps you, like, wind down. Or some listeners fall asleep. A small percentage of listeners skip ahead to, like, 18 or 20 minutes. So as you start to listen, you might say, well, so I might be the kind of person that starts the intro as I'm getting ready for bed. Or I might be the kind I prefer listening when I'm in bed. So kind of just see how it goes. I mean, there's people that listen when they wake up or as they're drinking their coffee or at work, or in the bathtub even. Do you have any have you ever placed a bathtub in this accelerator? What about an accelerated bathtub? Has anyone tried that? Even Kohler or whatever. What would it do? It would be a bathtub that's accelerating, obviously. Doesn't that sound like, can you imagine how bubbles feel when you're accelerating? We'll just, okay, well, we can't do it right now, but we'll put a parachute on it. That'll be, right? I'll volunteer. Yeah. You just put a parachute on the back of it. Okay, you keep taking notes. So that's the intro. It's like an introduction that never goes anywhere, but it kind of goes somewhere. It just goes on its own little journey and then comes back around. Then there's some business, because that's just how podcasts work. And then there's the story. Tonight will be our ongoing episodically modular series, The Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. Any math fans here in the great accelerator collider, or whatever name you're renaming it, because we don't want to use collider. Is there any like large scale refractors? Yeah, see, there you go. Another free idea for all of you, at least for funding. It might not do anything. Oh, refract. Yep, obviously. So there'll be a story, and that's right around 45 minutes or so. Then there's some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. And then I think I said you don't need to listen to me. Also, there's no pressure to fall asleep. The podcast is about an hour. And the reason it's about an hour is so you have plenty of time to drift off. You fall asleep when you fall asleep, right? I'm going to be here keeping you company till you do. But if you can't sleep, if you're like a percentage, like it just happens to be tonight, you can't sleep, or you can't sleep, I'm here till the very end to keep you company. Because I believe not only do you deserve a good night's sleep, you deserve comfort in the deep, dark night. So that's it. I mean, that's about, thanks for this. I didn't actually get a tour of this facility, but I would love to. I mean, I don't know, some places give people keys to the city. What about giving someone a key to the collider? I mean, that even is like almost alliterative, a collider key. Well, it wouldn't have to work. Usually they're only symbolic. But if you had one that worked, a key to the collider or a collider key, or both, I'll take one of each. And I'll even mention, I'll not mention the name of this facility. Like I'll just accidentally mix it up with Hilarden or whatever the heck. I'll get it wrong. No, I can't sign any. I was never here, believe it or not. I'm walking in the midst of my imagination. That's how I got here. My meander mind. Yep, you could write that down too. Go ahead, but you put it on the briefing. Believe me, they've seen enough. They're going to tell you to get in line. You don't know how many of the barons. Have you ever crossed the dairy barons or the candy barons? You'll be way down on the list. I'm just being honest with you. So it'd just be easier if you gave me that collider key. Can you imagine that? I say, hey, what do you got? You say, wait, Craig, tell me about yourself. Well, I have a collider key and a key to the collider. So I got that. It does sound a little bit, yeah, I got that going for me. You're right. Okay, so anyway, sorry, I got to get back to the new listeners. Excuse me, I'll be with all of you in a moment. Sorry, these lovely employees of this facility. So you're all full of questions. I love it. So if you're a new listener, I'm glad you're here. Give the show a few tries. You do deserve a good night's sleep. I'd like you to get one, whether it's through this show, or if this doesn't work, check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you for some other options. But I really appreciate you coming by and checking this podcast out. And I really work hard. I yearn and I strive, and I hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks. All right. Hey, I don't know if you're a current patron, you're a patron in the past, or you've been thinking about it, or you're like, no way, which is all fine. All those things are cool. Like, I'm laughing because it's true. A lot of people would say, well, that's not cool. Cool with me if you decide to be one or not be one. But we're doing this thing. If you have been a patron or you are, it'll be opt-in. It ends on October 31st. So you'll be getting an email after that about getting in our time capsule. You'll be able to opt in to get your first name in a time capsule, or your nickname or whatever. October 31st is like around the 6 year anniversary when the podcast started. But I don't know if that's that's pretty cool thing to get in the time capsule. And then we have our perks, like at $5 a month to get ad-free episodes without the music or without the jingles or whatever. And some people like that. You also get some story-only episodes every week. At $10 a month, people like the all intro episodes and a bunch of other stuff they get. Or $20 a month is just people that say, hey, I can do more. I mean, there's a cool Sleep With Me dog tag or keychain. But so... the real reason to become a patron is because you want to, right? Those are perks, and those you say, okay, actually, that I like that, but really, I want to become a patron because I listen to the show every night, or I listen to 8 hours of episodes a night. Or I asked the patrons, and Chad said, you know what? I just enjoy supporting channels I get a lot out of. That's simple. And Kristen works nights, so sleeping in the morning is really hard, but also really important. And by listening to Sleep With Me, Kristen can be rested and then be more effective at work. So those are a couple reasons. And I don't know if you have a reason. You say, oh, wait, I do have a reason. I've thought about it. If any of that resonates with you, you say, well, you know what? I'm just rebellious. I want to pay for a free podcast so other people can listen to it. That's rebellion. And those are the kind of wild rebels that support the show. But there's also reasonable rebels like say, yeah, that's cool too, Scoots. But really, I just get value out of the show, and it helps me, and I enjoy it. So if you thought about it, do it before October 31st if you can, so that you can get in this time capsule. But only do it if you have the means and you want to. So if you choose to become a patron, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Sign up, and yeah, I really appreciate it. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of our ongoing episodically modular series, Nuns, no, not Nuns in Space. Oh boy, I guess I'm in space here. There's nuns here. It's for our ongoing episodically modular series. I guess there was a pathway in my brain I didn't even realize was there. I just discovered a new pathway. This is our ongoing episodically modular, which means you can listen to it in any order series, The Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. And I'm going to give, if you're new, or you say, Scoots, I never listened to one of these episodes before. Don't worry, settle in. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Dr. Triangle and Isosceles, if that sounds good. So here, let's see. What do you need to know? Okay, it's a story. It's in a world without math. I think that's what Antonio Banderas will say later. So there's a world like ours, or was actually this. They live in our world, alternate timeline, I guess, if you're being specific. And right around some point, and not that far from now, I think at first it started with people kind of like lowering the priority on math. They stopped believing in math. But then right aligned with that came this goddess, Discordia. And her major belief system is she's all about anti-math, or she's not all about math. She's all about getting rid of math on Earth. Particularly this takes place in the kind of Midwest of the United States. Or what was United States. Also, so she was successful, like Thanos, but she just got rid of math. I don't know if she snapped or whistled, but all of a sudden, well, not 100% actually. She was able to significantly reduce the effectiveness of math and math-based principles, things relying on underlying mathematics. And not 100%, not all math is gone. So don't worry, hold on to your calculator, because there's more to come. But so some places where she was most effective, your calculator wouldn't work. You might not even be able to conceptualize simple math principles. Other places might have a little bit more math. But then she came. I don't think we've seen her, but I believe she's here or there. working to eliminate all math and all math principles, which, you're even thinking it now. That's total chaos. I can't imagine a world without my sweet, sweet mathematics. I'd have algebra, what's life without a cosine and a sine? Talk about, there would be no more poetry, because what would poets write about, right? I mean, other than math, what else is there? Passion. I mean, what's passion? I mean, I guess I don't want to go too deep, because I was thinking, like, would you feel it, whoever that band was, would they feel like making love if there wasn't any math? I don't think they would. So there's a world without math. Picture the Middle Ages, and I mean, they even had math then, probably. I'm not a historian, but something like that. So the United States has been set back that far, and I think around the world, but you can't travel by plane, so you don't know. No internet, no telegraph, none of that stuff. So a world without math is a pretty simple world. But then you say, well, what's the social structure like, Scoots? And I say, well, that's part of our story. The United States is not United States anymore. Like, some places are behind a barrier, controlled by, some sort of, I don't know, some system. I don't know if it's autocratic, but it's definitely not democratic. I'll tell you that much. I mean, how would you have a system of representation, right, without math? You just have someone that says, I'm in charge of everything, period. Maybe. So, but other parts of the U.S. are more like city-states or just people like living. We've seen both. But don't worry, you'd say, this sounds bleak, Scoots. Especially you kids, you're saying, whoa, boy. I don't know how I'm going to go to, there's no more math at school tomorrow, huh? Yeah, okay, I don't know. Scooch, you gotta pull things back. This is just too bleak for us. You mean no more math tests even, and no more math homework either. And tell your parents there's taxation, I think, but it's probably, presented in a different manner and much less complicated. So that's good news. But anyway, so in this world, there's a force of good for, if you happen to believe that a lot of good does depend on math, which is, I'm not being sarcastic. Look it up. I don't even think you could have ice cream. Oh, someone just said you could, okay, well, but I don't think you'd have the sweet, sweet flavors they come up with in labs without math, correct? So a goddess came, just like there's one side, there's another side. Sashat, the goddess who believes in math, and she has found two heroic figures, Dr. Triangle and Isosceles, who, believe it or not, are traveling performers that used to do a math parody show or, anti-math drama. And so, but she chose those two to restore the principles of math to the world, go against the forces of discordia. That's our story, basically, is each episode's a procedural with Dr. Triangle and Isosceles trying to solve something. In the current episode, they're behind the barrier that separates the Federated States, I think they're called, from the rest of the United States or the Midwest. I think the Federated States are more east, and they erected some big barrier. You know how that goes. I don't got to tell you about that. But they went behind the barrier, and now they're hiding out. They had tried to resolve one principle of math, and discordious forces are on the lookout. So that's it. Let me give you the short version in case you're confused. World without math. Dr. Triangle and Isosceles are trying to restore the principles of math, one or two principles at a time. So you'll be able to sleep easy knowing that math will be there tomorrow for you. And we also, in addition to a long-winded recap, we also have a Hollywood performer here to do a setup for the show. So the ladies, this is the gentlemen, this is the boys, this is the girls, this is the friends beyond the binary. It's time. In a world without math, the two heroes rise with charm bracelets and charm. They, alone or together with people, can restore math to our world. This is the adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. That was amazing. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas. I'm just silently applauding. He's leaving the studio. He's going to go lie on my bed. And we have a new game to play that I haven't even opened yet, a 2-player version of, it's a New York City edition of train making with cards or something. I forgot what it's called. Tickets to Train 2-player edition or something. So we'll be playing that. He's smiling. And he puts on his hairnet, and now I have little booties. Even though your feet don't go out, touch my bed, I still like you to have those booties on that I got at a furniture store. Yep. Thank you. Thanks. So that's Antonio Banderas, and this is The Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. Hello, everyone. This is Ada the Mule. Though you would not recognize me right now because I'm undercover as a pony. And we did try to make me, we put some rainbow paints in some of my mane or whatever this thing's called to make me look more like a pony. Or at least, and then Isosceles keeps calling me my little pony, keeps saying that and patting me. So that's not exactly great, but I wanted to catch up on where we are with things. We've been laying low and biding our time. And pretending, making me into a pony because I got to go back to the stables. I can't stay with them the whole time. And waiting to know because so basically Discordia has been looking for Dr. Triangle and Isosceles, turning over everything, trying to find them. And they really stirred up trouble, I guess. And up until a little while ago, we were lying low, and the plan's to say, okay, well, we'll know when it's time to go. Should we go back? What does the shot want? It wasn't clear. Even though we're hiding out in one of Sashat's temples anyway, we didn't know when we were going to go or where we were going to go until we just got word. They're talking about it. They just got the word. I guess Dr. Triangle's just about to tell Isosceles. Okay, so, yeah, you're sitting down. Is this accurate information? The acolytes said that some of Discordia's, or the official, you have a sister, and she's been they've taken her to one of Discordia's temples for safe, as a safe place for her with a lot of questions. Do you have a sister? Oh, which sister? Do you know which sister it is? Wait, you have more than one sister? I didn't even know you had one sister. Okay, where is she? It's like a couple towns away. Okay, well, they're just trying to draw us out of hiding. It's just it's probably just a rumor. I can't imagine. They didn't say. Do you know which sister it is? Is it Tanya? It is. That's who. You're right. That's the name. So what's your other sister? Don't worry about my other sister. Well, are we going to help her, or what are we going to do? I don't think we can. I mean, I think it's just I don't think Tanya would allow herself to be taking in for self. So she's a very independent sister, and I think we just wait. They're just trying to get us to there so they can. It's a move. It's blatantly obvious. Oh wait, the accolade. Okay. They've also offered a reward for any hidden stashes of food and secure locations. See, what did I tell you, Triangle? They're trying to flush us out is the term. Wait a second. How serious? 1 second, Isosceles. How serious is this? Wow, that's a big reward. So they're trying, and that's active right now. Okay, that's not good because those people are going to be looking for the my hideouts now too. So what are we going to do if they're trying to draw us out? But we have to. It's your sister, one, and I can tell by your eyes that you're just saying that. We can. We should just keep going with our escape plan to get on the other side of the wall. I think we should just stick to that and then go back to not being here in the Federated. It's trying to restore math outside of the Federated States, not here. I don't know. I think the shot has us where, I realize that I'm supposed to be the logical one. That was a joke. Well, I don't know. I realize that but I think Shashat wants us here, or... Wait a second. There's those acolytes there. They're like trying to listen in on us. Wait a second. Like, how do the acolytes travel between towns? They just do it as regular people because they're like underground. So that's why they wear those robes and hoods and everything. They don't know what one another look like. So when they're out there in the world traveling, they're just regular people. Oh, like anonymous. Because I was thinking we could go, if we have to do this, we could do it as followers of, maybe we could Discord, we could do, because we couldn't do it as anonymous, obviously. What about followers of Discordia? Like we could, because hiding out in the open's a great idea. That's the best place to hide. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to get in. By the time we got in to be a follower of a Discordia, we'd get figured out. It would take too long. They don't just take anybody there. Okay, well, we need some kind of distraction so we could get there. What do you think? I don't know. I just think, wait a second. Could you stand up a little bit taller? Hey, this is as tall as I stand. Well, pull your shoulders back just a little bit. I always thought you were, I was seeing something in your triangle. What is it? Well, I've never thought of you as charismatic, but that could be going with what we're saying. No one would be looking for you as a charismatic leader. I don't know. How do you know that? Well, you're always kind of like the foil sometimes, or the voice of reason. But what if you were, what if you became like a super fan of Discord? Instead of we join, there's the members of Discordia is organized, organized Discordians. But what if you became like a super fan of Discordia, and I was a follower of yours, or Discordian principles? You're losing me. You'd be charismatic. You could be a charismatic leader of anti-math, your own anti-math group. Wait a second. Like an underground anti-math group. Yeah, really hard, into it, really anti-math, I'm saying. That is that's so simple, but I think I see your, or maybe it was unintentional, but so extreme anti-math, Yeah, people would buy into that. Then we'd have even more cover because it's just simplistic. Yeah, we could. This could be what Discord. I mean, this could be what Shot wants. Because a lot of these movements is you try to, like, if math was on a spectrum and you wanted to push things all the way, against math, a lot of times it's not a spectrum, it's a circle. And then you start to push around the other side. So we could actually bring people back to math, I think. I don't understand what you're talking about. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's like a mirror, but if you, like people could start to dislike math so much and in such an intense way that that somehow they start to absorb math qualities. Back in before the fall and everything, when there was just there was usually not just the two parties, but there was like two major identifiers, right? And sometimes people would go all the way to the far side and then go back around where they were reflecting the other far side. Okay. Basically, you would be a charismatic anti-math leader is what I'm saying. This other stuff, you've kind of lost me, and it would create a distraction. Maybe that's what you're trying to say. I mean, the only issue is that a leader usually is able to communicate things in basic terms, which you're failing to do. Yeah, but if I'm so far into discordia, I could just be discordian. My thoughts could be just totally chaotic. Okay, I think that. So then we'd just we basically be super fans, so much a fan of discordia that we've moved past discordia in our distaste for math. Yeah, and that this could actually, even if what I said before didn't make any sense, it could really work for making people decide how they really feel about math when they look at I could come up with some pretty strong, and I'll try to keep it simple, or maybe I won't be. I think I could keep it simple. I even have another layer of ideas, but what if in seeing our distaste of math, it might help people realize, like, those two are gross. Like, I just realized I actually like math, or there's some good things about math. Okay. It also would just create chaos, because it would be a group that Federated States and Discordia's followers don't have control over. And if it was simple, it could be like a meme almost. Right, like we'd be battling chaos with chaos, creating, because it couldn't be all, or are we playing right into Discordian hands? Well, I'd ask you, is there a math principle in there we could make available to us? You're the person that plays Dr. Triangle. Wait a second, there is. It's conjecture. What? Like conditional statements. What do you mean? Conjecture. Are you objecting to what I'm saying? Is that what conjecture? No, like if then. Okay, what? That doesn't sound like math at all. Like, what if I understood what you were talking about? Okay, I know you're stressed about, like, listen, it's okay to be stressed about your sister, okay? We're going to get there. What I'm saying is we could restore the principle of conditional statements like conjecture, maybe, well, what if-then statements. If we restore the principles of conjecture, then we can create more chaos. Is that necessarily conditional on one another? I think so, because if it's check your charms to see if it's missing. Do you have any new charms? I have something that looks like a podium. I have a new charm here of someone holding up their finger, making a point. Okay, hold the charms. I can't believe these charms are so magic. Okay, hold your charms. OSHA shot, we call to you. We are here humbly serving you, doing the best we can. And we call on you to restore the principles of conjecture and conditional statements for the love of math and math principles so that we might better serve you, shots. Okay, nothing's happening. That's probably nothing happening yet. Yeah, there's no big boss. So that means that I can't believe those. Maybe that's why these people seem so happy. Are you saying, well, I was kind of joking. Okay, so how do we test it out? Okay, if the sky is blue, it must be daytime. Okay, nothing happened. Let me look outside. Quick question, though. Does this mean we have to tell the truth all the time? Like in those movies, wasn't there like 10 movies where the main character had to tell the truth all the time? Is that the case? No. That's a good thing about conjecture. It doesn't have to be true. Well, then why would we want to restore it? Okay, just trust me. This is the perfect thing for, even though I'm not charismatic, to be a charismatic leader, this fits right in. All right. So, okay. So basically we'll just, we'll redo, we got the pony now. Ada's the pony. And then we'll redo the wagon and we'll tour around, spewing anti-math principles, in a whatever, conditionally stated or whatever, however you said. Yeah, there's only one more thing, like I was thinking about, like all the moments in history that I'd like this to be peace, even though this is like extreme, I'd like it to be peaceful. Well, when was a time anybody will be, in the end, it'll be for good. So if we can make it peaceful and like use pillowy soft power instead of so that even though we're using this to create chaos, it's a soft chaos. Never heard the term soft chaos before. Or, I've heard of people using soft power to help direct service and enact, empower people and stand up for people's rights and be used for equality and uplifting. I haven't heard of it to hide us, to anyone using like you're talking about the great ones. Yeah, Mandela, Gandhi, right. Chavez, Mother Teresa, MLK. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But so we're not exactly, in the end, we're indirectly, but we'll use it. I want to follow their example, even though we're using it, we're going to be using it to deceive people initially. I just want to use passive soft power. Okay. Do you have any ideas of how to do that? I do. Let me think about it. Let's start getting ready. Hey everyone, Ada here. So I got dressed up even more like a pony with ribbons in my tail and hair, and even painted a shade of powdery white, which made me sneeze more. And we headed off to street corners and town squares, just like they were performing, but because they were out in the open. I mean, a couple, cosmetic changes to Dr. Triangle and Isosceles to make them look a little bit different. But Dr. Triangle started to make these, I guess you'd call it preaching, in some anti-math preaching, and started to use if and then to talk about all the downsides of math and what the slippery slope, a bit like the plot of The Music Man, but I don't really remember the plot, not necessarily that I remember the plot of The Music Man. and how important it was to keep the principles of math away from the children. And so he would talk all these if then speeches, which we'll get to, I think, we'll cover some of them. But they also said, well, what do you do when you encounter math? Because as these speeches were very anti-math, the presentations were very to stir people up against math. But then Dr. Triangle tried to bring it down, and and then Dr. Triangle tried to bring it down. So Dr. Triangle started to teach this method, which is both fun and silly and soft, meaning Dr. Triangle's goal to bring attention to math, to stop the usage of math in your presence, it was a very, very effective tool, and quickly, and people caught on to it because not only was it fun and relaxing, it was thrilling and soft at the same time. And so it just started to drain the power. It made people want to follow the movements. Even when people were like, I'm not exactly sure about all this if-then speeching stuff, but it was something anyone could apply anywhere at almost any time. And all it was called the Kerr method. I guess that Dr. Triangle had observed this other preacher when Dr. Triangle was in university, named the Great Kerr. That's Kerr, not Cur. And what he would do is just lie down in the presence of resistance. It was a form of resisting and calling attention to things. And so Dr. Triangle taught the Kerr method, which was simply, if you see someone using math, or you're outside of an institution where you believe math is being used, even though Discordia claims it to be an anti-math society, all you do is lay completely down on your back. Normally it's how it's so you can look up with your eyes and make eye contact. And you say, no, thank you. And anytime, especially an authority figure or the person using the math that you've seen, you lay down and they say, no, thank you. And you could say what they're doing. No, thank you. You know, you're using addition or subtraction. No, thank you. Or if they say, hey, you got to get up, or this is an official Discordian event, you just say, no, thank you. I don't want any part of your usage of math. And this is going on because, one, it's hard to argue with. It's also, you just like when someone's lying perfectly flat and politely saying, no, thank you, it's very hard to deal with. It's very disarming and contagious. Other people, that's the other thing. If you see someone lying down, you lie down and say, no, thank you. So it's a symbol to other people that started following Dr. Triangle, who was not going by Dr. Triangle, by the way. He was going by Dr. Conjecture. Oh, no. Dr. Triangle was going by Dr. Conjecture. But so when people would lie down, it caught on. It wasn't viral in the sense that it would, but it was easy to say, oh, I also don't want math being used here or being taught. So people started doing it more and more. And not only is it just, if you're on the other side of it, it could be a little bit frustrating and chaotic because you say, can you get off my floor? This is my store. I got other customers. You say, no, thank you. I'll stay here. And you say, well, how long? Well, I'll stay here till you're finished using math. Or you promise to stop using math. And then I'll come back. If they promise, they say, well, I'll be back tomorrow to see if you're using math again. And I'll lie down. So it was a persistent use of this at all times that really started to catch on because what are you going to do? They're lying calmly on the ground. It can be outrageous to try to move them, and reasoning with them is tough, especially when they're not, it's a very all or nothing thing. Saying, no, thank you. When you stop using math, I'll get up and go. So it really started to work. It really started to catch on. And then Dr. Conjecture started making more and more speeches and really pushing it, hoping to push people to math reasonableness. But people also really felt, I think there was this underlying feeling of disempowerment in this. And so suddenly they had this sense of personal power. Now, it was misdirected in an extreme anti-math way. But they caught on lying down and saying no to math. Now, what I know that Dr. Triangle doesn't know, is that it also stirred some lower level subconscious appreciation of math, seeing how it is ubiquitous even in an anti-math society. And so it was terribly ineffective at other than causing chaos and getting on everybody's nerves and getting more and more followers for Dr. Conjecture. It wasn't immediately effective, but I just wanted to let you know that it was, people are reasonable. They just take some time to incubate. So Dr. Conjecture started to even... I mean, the if-then model was very effective because it couldn't be proven wrong or argued with. So Dr. Conjecture would say, if there's rungs on a ladder, then it must be math. If there's square in the stones or the masons, then it must be math. And then it got to the point where people would just say if, and then the then would be them lying down. So they wouldn't even need to explain that if the sky is blue, and then it must be math was not even said. People would just lie down, and they say, "No, thank you. I'll get up when the sky's not blue anymore." Now they're doing it more to control their people, and it was really like this all or nothing thing. But at the time, at least in this few months that we're talking about. It was temporarily fulfilling because you got a thrill from lying down. It was comfortable. You got to get people to change. And this whole idea of like inductive reasoning and disproving conjectures, that also goes along with these principles of math. It does need some subtlety, but when it's looked at in a basic way like this, it does tend to trigger this all or nothing response. Because you could also just say, well, it's not, it's just not there's not a lot of nuance. And that was where Dr. Conjecture was going for. But at some point they did start to get nervous because they were starting to get the attention of Discordia. This had caught on over a few months, as they were working their way towards the city where Isosceles' sister was. There started to be this rumor that the Discordians were going to ban if-then, and that was a math term. And they had to take their the rewards to find. Now, most math books obviously were gone, and math purge. But the Discordians to turn the attention away from looking for Dr. Triangle's hidden stashes to looking for math books that had the principles of conjecture in them. I don't know why. Maybe they had some stored somewhere. I don't know. But so let me get to their conversation. They're having one right now. I just don't think this is gone. It's gone too well. We've lost. There's too many people following us now. And I don't think this is what Sashat would have wanted. We've kind of, in a few short months, we may have damaged math worse than the past 30 years did it with a goddess. The power of if-then conditional statements that aren't true. And I didn't realize that if you combine lies and soft power, with the damage you could do. Okay, okay. I think it's just temporary. I think you're giving yourself too much credits. Well, I mean, if they ban, if then, the, I think we just created too much chaos. Okay, okay. I've been observing things, and I think you're right in your initial assessment. But I think we have to lean into our jobs. Why would, like you said when we started, why would Sashad have put us in this situation and restored these principles unless it wouldn't have worked, unless it was supposed to work, right? Like the tools we need to accomplish this mission are here. Well, I mean, I guess in some sense this is impeding Discordia's. Wait a second, who is there anyone to speak for this, the reasonable side of things? That's what I don't see. Right. I mean, because it's an all or nothing thing. And I've been thinking about this, and I have a plan too, with my sister, because I don't need to see my sister. Like I said, Tanya's her own person. She's very strong. And at first I didn't want to see her, but now I have an idea. And I think it'll take care of everything. And what's that idea? Like, how are we going to help your sister and help to undo this kind of mess we made? At least to release some of the tension, right? I want to keep the power soft. I know what you're saying. I know exactly how to I know exactly how to fix it. So don't worry. So we'll tell my sister we're going to go there. My sister will recognize me, but won't say anything. I will act like I'm your silent, your assistant, as I've been acting while you make your if-then speeches. And we'll just tell them we just want to go in and talk to the people you have here for safekeeping and make a presentation about, why Discordia is great. And we'll soften the messaging. It's going to take us 2 weeks to get there. But once my sister sees me and realizes that I stand for anti-math, even further anti-math than Discordia, and she sees me wearing this shirt that says, if then lie down, and then the shirts we made with the person lying down, if then lie down, then once she sees that, she'll be against all of it. Conjecture, she's contrarian and very intelligent. So either she'll just react and she'll say, oh, that's my brother, I believe, trying to convert me to some ridiculous thing. Either she'll realize the brilliance in our plan or she'll just be against it anyway. Either way. Also, she's very charismatic. So you're saying, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. If we present this to your sister, then she'll figure it out for us. More or less. Hey, it's Ada here. So that's what happened is they traveled eventually to their town. They tried to get themselves a little bit more aligned with Discordia, even though obviously the Discordian officials, especially those that used math on the DL when they needed to, or that said ladder and math don't have anything to do with one another, or you're using a technicality and it's not exactly math. Physics is more science, those kind of things. They should just be, they tried to kind of take their tone a little bit more reasonable, but their followers were still kind of already having this moment of, what did we get ourselves into? But I do like lying down and saying no thank you. And so they reached the place of safekeeping where, for the privacy of Isosceles' sister, I'll just retell it to you. But they went there and they got the permission to make, to tell, they say, oh, this is why Discordia is great. Maybe you're here for safekeeping because you don't believe in Discordia, and to be grateful for the chaos and all those things, and to serve Discordia. And the math is, we do need to work together to remove all math principles from our world. At this point, Dr. Conjecture had said, well, this is the sensibility side, and we're the emotional side. We're the more impulsive side of Discordia. And so when you see these things, you need to lie down and you say, no, thank you. And yeah, we got a reputation for being a little bit too on the far edges of chaos and anti-math. But we're trying to bring it back down. And Tanya quickly realized that saw the folly in all of it, but also saw the opportunity, and also saw it in the eyes of the people that said, well, there's part of this. I like being a part of something, and I like the feeling of power, but I kind of know that I need math. Somewhere in my heart of hearts, I know I need some math. And so she quickly, from within the thing, started to build her own much quieter, even softer power. A thing where they would not only just lie down. Sometimes, like her followers, when they would see people using absurdist logic or conjecture without honesty, without truth behind it, they would do something where they would lean down. They would sit down and then lean back and pretend they were petting a cat or a small puppy or something. And they would say, is that really true? And so this started this thing, and this one quickly, it felt good. One, feels good. It didn't feel good to lie down. Feels even better to lie down and imaginarily pet an animal. Two, things falling on the side of the truth, especially when you come from a place where you're like, oh, I wasn't seeing things. I was wrong, and now I see this a little bit. It really caught on very fast. And also everybody said it in this sly way, and you wouldn't stay until you got on their nerves. You just stay in a sly way, pet the pet, and then get up and go, like you were planting a seed. But obviously, and this was all happening, I'm just giving you a little bit of an accelerated timeline. But eventually, Tanya and her followers, as they quickly grew, wanted to connect with all of the majority of Sashat's followers were on the other side of the barrier. But she also wanted to, so then she had her followers, as Dr. Triangle and Isosceles were trying to kind of slink out of the area and get beyond the barrier on the DL. She had her followers say, hey, why don't you come with us without their, you know what I mean? She had them take her followers, borrow Dr. Triangle, Isosceles, and myself, Ada, in our wagon, and she's placed us in an undisclosed location outside of the barrier for safekeeping, and that's where I'm resting tonight. I got plenty of hay. I don't have to be a pony anymore. I'm just Ada the mule. And so everybody's resting now, and I'm going to rest too. Good night. All right, I want to thank everybody that recently became a patron. I want to thank Pamela, Robert, and Tish. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Jay, Jill, and Hannah. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Working One, Michelle, and John. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Allison, Jay, and Hannah. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Melissa, Erica, and Allie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. I want to thank Linnea, KU, and Debbie. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank KL, Lisa, and Claire. Thank you, thanks, and good night. I want to thank Joan, Adam and Catherine. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks and good night to Cheryl, Zoe, and Mags. Thanks, and good night to Star, Amy, and Blue Impulse. Thanks, and good night to Massage, Sarah, and Carol. Thank you. Thanks, and good night to Amy, Rachel, and David. Thank you. Thanks, and good night to Jacob, Fred, and Tania. Thank you. Thanks, and good night to Willa, Tim, and Cynthia. Thank you. Thanks, and good night to John, Kelsey, and Crystal. And thanks and good night to Felicia, Sam, and Han. Thanks, and good night to Stephen, Kelly, and Adam. And thank you, thanks, and good night to Oren, Red, Matthew, and Isadora. So big thanks, and good night to everybody who supported the show recently. You couldn't do it without you. And Sleep With Me exists as a free podcast because of people that support the show on Patreon or support our sponsors. So I really appreciate that. We grow as a podcast from people just spreading the word, letting people know about the show. And we're a proud member of Night Vale Presents. And there's a Night Vale Presents show I want to tell you about. It's Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. If you like Harry Potter, but you also want to also use it as a way to think about how you live in the world and, meaning, but the big stuff, the big questions through the lens of Harry Potter. Check out Harry Potter and the Sacred Text wherever you consume your podcasts or at nightvalepresents.com. And what else you could find? We're a proud member of PRX. You can see everything they're doing at prx.org. And I think that's it. There's plenty of other episodes ready to go if you need them. Here you go. Let me tuck you in a little bit more. Okay, good night.